you for being here. Our next presentation is from Ms. Chikondi Chadza. She's a senior air traffic controller for the Malawi Department of Civil Aviation. She's been in aviation industry since 2010 and includes 3 years training as an air traffic controller. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Education from Mzuzu University in Malawi. Is Ms. Chadza here? There she is. And as she walks up, we'll have one more presenter afterwards, after Ms. Chadza. And so don't everybody rush up for lunch right after, and I think then we'll have an announcement from George as well.
Good morning, everybody. I am Chikondi Chadza, as I've already been introduced, from Malawi, a senior air traffic control officer. Before I do my presentation, I just wanted to acknowledge the presence of my Director of Civil Aviation in Malawi and the Chief Flight Operations Officer, who are also here. And my presentation is on how, like I said, I work in air traffic as an air traffic controller. So I will present on how ATC interacts with the RPAS that are operating in Malawi. Okay. Malawi is a landlocked country. That's a country profile that I'm going to present to you, with a population of about 18 million people as of 2017. Some of the things that we do have in Malawi, we also have a beautiful lake, different kind of species of fish, game reserves. You should visit Malawi one day. Now I'll go to the previous drone use cases in Malawi. Malawi has been also in the forefront in the introduction of drones in Africa, and we have used these drones in integrating the RPAs into HIV and health supply chain management. This was a project which was pioneered by UNICEF in Malawi. Apart from that, we have also used the drones in flood assessments with the RPAs and integration in the national disasters, and how we were preparing ourselves to come up with the solutions to combat that problem that we did have. Apart from that, the humanitarian drone testing corridor, which was the first of its kind in Africa, was introduced in Malawi. And also we did the Lilongwe mapping urban sanitation. There is a picture showing the drones that was flown first. Should be in, that was in 2016. That was a project done by UNICEF, and it was the first one that was done in Malawi. And our policy now in Malawi, what's our policy in Malawi in the drones? Okay, drones operating in Malawi are regulated through flexible ways or flexible means, whereby if you have an operator who would like to operate drones in Malawi and they come up with their application that they'd like to operate drones in Malawi, we as an aviation authority, what we do is we check out what they'd like to do. We do ask the operator, like, what's your plan? Where do you want to go, or what do you want to do exactly? Then we do assess the kind of hazards that may come up after maybe they have given us their plan. Then we do see how we're going to mitigate those problems throughout the operation. Then that's when we as the regulator or we as the authority, we can either say yes to the operators or even say no to the operators. That is now the map of Malawi. That map is showing two different kinds of boundaries. We do have the political boundaries, which are the boundaries that demarcates countries, and we also have what we call the FIR boundaries, which is the Flight Information Region. The reason why I came up with this, the map of Malawi, is especially the last part where it's showing we are in Malawi, but the FIR boundary, which is in green lines, is showing that the lower part is not Malawian airspace. So what I want you to say is, for example, if the drone users or the drone operators would like to operate in Malawi, and they do not tell us that they're operating, and they'll be operating right here, down here, thinking they're in Malawi, that would be very wrong, because this part of the airspace belongs to Mozambican airspace. So we do urge the operators to come and tell us exactly what their plan is, where exactly they're going to operate when they're operating in Malawi, so that we tell them the exact places that they can go and where they cannot go, so that they do not infringe the airspace of other FIR boundaries or FIR users. Now I'm going to talk about the Kasungu drone testing corridor, which, as I already said, was the first in Africa. After seeing that drones have been in Malawi, we've used the drones for humanitarian purposes, and we've done that in conjunction with Malawi government under the Department of Civil Aviation and the Ministry of Health and UNICEF. We did come up with the corridor, which is located it is located within the controlled airspace. Our drone corridor is within the controlled airspace. Even though it is within the controlled airspace, we made sure that it does not conflict with the arrival paths and the departure paths of the arriving traffic that we do have at the main international airport in Malawi. Now I'm going to talk about the relationship between ATC and the drone corridor. What happens in the drone corridor, and what do we as ATC do when activities are taking place in the drone corridor? One thing that we always make sure to take place is that whatever the activities that are happening at the drone corridor, the users must always maintain a listening watch on the radio frequency that is in use at that particular time, because anything can happen. Even though maybe they have told us we're going to operate in this area, if something happens, they need to maintain a listening watch so that they know exactly what is happening. And also, information about the drone operations in the corridor is passed by ATC to man traffic. We may have other traffic which may be operating near or around the corridors. So we'd like to make sure that we are always informed of the activities, so that we inform our man traffic whenever they're going that side, what they should expect, or what is there, what they should expect when they're operating around that area. Apart from that, the drone operators must also call the control tower before launching operations at all times. That is to say, you may receive a communication from the drone users that we're going to launch our operations at 11 o'clock. But you know something may happen, they do not launch operations at 11. And you're expecting something is happening, or they are doing the operations maybe between 11 and 12. However, we would like them, at the moment, they may tell us in advance we do our operations at this time. But the moment they would like to start doing their operations, they should also tell us by phone or by any means of communication that right now we are doing our operations. That is one of the things that the drone operators, when they're operating at the corridor, should always do. Apart from that, we as the Civil Aviation Authority, what we do is whenever activities are also taking place at the corridor, NOTAMs are issued to notify all the operators within that airspace that at this corridor or at this specific radius in this area, there are drone activities that are taking place. Now, the next, I'm going to talk about the future interaction of ATC with the drones in Malawi. As we all know, drones are increasingly becoming part of our day-to-day lives. So we do expect, as ATC in Malawi, we do expect that the number of drones that are operating now in Malawi in the near future, that we're going to have high numbers of drones operating in Malawi. And with that, we as ATC, we know we're going to have a lot of work, and we have to do our part so that whenever we have this number of drones, whenever they're going to increase the numbers, they do not overtake us. So we would like to make sure that there is integration between unmanned traffic management into the controlled airspace or into the manned traffic that we do have. Also, having radar now at Kamuzu International Airport, that is going to help us to maybe track some of these drones, especially if in the near future, if this drone technology is going to enable the drones to be able to have the ADS-B or the transponders that are going to help us to track them whenever they are flying, either in the controlled airspace or in the drone corridors or wherever they're going to be flying, that radar or the having of the ADS-B or the transponders in the drones is going to help us to track them at all times and provide the right separation or the safety measures that we can so that they are not hazardous to us. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you.